Welcome to day 29 of our HTML and CSS in Action series. Today, we're creating a modern 3D portfolio flip card section, a fun, interactive way to showcase your projects or skills using only HTML and CSS. Each card will display a project image and title on the front, and when you hover or tap, it flips beautifully to reveal more details and a GitHub link on the back. This design gives your portfolio a professional, dynamic feel, and it's fully responsive across all screen sizes. Let's dive in and start building these eye-catching cards step by step. Now let's start by creating our portfolio section. Inside the section tag, I've added a heading that says My Portfolio Projects and a short description inviting users to hover or tap a card to see more details. Beneath that, we have a div with the class Card Container. This is where all our flip cards will live and align beautifully in a responsive grid. Next, let's start building our first portfolio card. We'll begin with a div that has a class of Card. This acts as the main container for each project. Inside it, we add another div called Card Inner, which will handle the 3D flip animation later in our CSS. Inside Card Inner, we'll have two main sides, the front and the back of the card. On the front, I've added an image of our project and a heading that says Product Card. This is what the viewer sees first, before the flip happens. On the back side, we include a heading, a short paragraph that briefly describes the project, and a button that links directly to GitHub. This setup creates a clean, organized HTML structure where the content is easy to update and the animation logic will stay fully in CSS. Now, for our next project card, I'm adding another div with the same structure. This one features our media player design. Inside the card front, we have an image preview of the Media Player project and a title labeled Media Player. Then, on the card back, we've included a heading that says Glass Media Player, followed by a short description explaining that it uses a cinematic glass morphism design built entirely with HTML and CSS. Finally, there's a GitHub button that links directly to the project's source code, making it easy for viewers or recruiters to check your work. Next, we're adding another project card, this time for our blog preview layout. Just like the others, it follows the same structure with a card inner, and two sides, the front and the back. On the front, we have an image showing the blog design and a heading labeled Blog Preview. When the card flips, the back side reveals a clean title that says Blog Layout, a short description that highlights its responsive grid, hover transitions, and beautiful typography. And finally, we've got our GitHub link button, so viewers can explore the full source code and see how the project was built from scratch. Now the first three project cards are complete. Each one shows a different mini project we've built in this series. I've gone ahead and added the remaining three cards off camera to save time, but you can easily duplicate one of your existing cards and replace the image, title, and text with your own projects. This way, you'll have a full set of 6 cards showcasing your personal work or portfolio pieces. Let's start by styling the body section to set the overall tone of our portfolio page. First, we're using the Poppins font for a clean, modern look that stays consistent across all our projects. The background uses a radial gradient, starting with a deep navy at the top and fading into a darker shade at the bottom. This creates that subtle glowing effect that draws attention toward the center of the screen. The text color is set to white for perfect contrast, and we're using Flexbox with both Justify Content and Align Items set to center, which keeps everything perfectly aligned both vertically and horizontally. Finally, the flex direction is set to column, so each element stacks neatly, with padding around the edges and text aligned to the center. giving our layout a clean, balanced look on any screen. Now let's style our heading and paragraph to give this section a clean, modern look. The H1 is set to a bright teal color with a font size of 2 rem and a small margin at the bottom, making it bold and eye-catching. For the paragraph, we're using a softer gray-blue shade and adding more space below to create nice breathing room before the next section. Now let's move on to the card container. This is where all our project cards will be displayed. We're using a CSS grid layout, which makes it super easy to organize multiple cards in a flexible and responsive way. The grid template is set to repeat automatically, fitting as many columns as possible with a minimum width of 260 pixels per card. This ensures that on smaller screens, the cards stack neatly, while on larger screens, they align side by side. The gap of 35 pixels adds breathing space between each card, and Justify Items Center keeps them nicely aligned in the middle. Next, we're styling each card and setting up the base for our flip animation. The dot card class has a fixed width and height, and we're adding a perspective of 1000 pixels. This gives our 3D flip effect a sense of realistic depth when the card rotates. Inside it, the dot card inner acts as the main container that holds both the front and back sides of the card. We set its position to relative, make it take up the full space, and use a smooth transition with a cubic Bezier curve for a natural, fluid motion. Finally, the transform style, Preserve 3D, ensures that both sides of the card maintain their 3D appearance while flipping. Now let's make the card flip when we hover over it. Using the selector .card::hover.cardInner, we'll apply a transform rotation of 180 degrees on the y-axis. This makes the card rotate horizontally to reveal the backside. Because we already set the perspective earlier, the rotation looks smooth and realistic, almost like a 3D animation. This technique works entirely with HTML and CSS. Now, let's style both sides of the card, the dot card front and dot card back. We start by setting their position to absolute, which places them directly on top of each other inside the card container. Both are given full width and height, so they perfectly overlap. The backface visibility hidden property is key here. It hides the back of each side when it's flipped away from the viewer, preventing that mirrored effect you sometimes see during rotation. The rounded corners with a 16-pixel border radius keep the design soft and modern, while overflow hidden ensures that the image or content stays neatly inside the card. For the card front, we're giving it a soft, glass-like look, using a semi-transparent white background and a teal border with low opacity to keep it subtle. We use Flexbox to align everything neatly, stacking the image and title vertically with flex direction, column, centering them horizontally, and starting the layout from the top. This setup creates a clean, balanced front face for each project card. Here's an important step I almost missed. We need to add Transform Style, Preserve 3D. This allows the front and back faces of the card to exist in the same 3D space. Here we're styling the text on the back of our card. The heading uses a teal color number 5 EEAD4 to stay consistent with our theme, and a slightly larger font for emphasis. The paragraph underneath is smaller, with comfortable line spacing and margin, keeping it easy to read and visually balanced. Finally, we're giving our button a smooth gradient look with rounded edges and a soft hover transition, keeping the style modern and consistent with our portfolio theme. When the user hovers over the button, it slightly scales up and adds a glowing shadow, giving it that interactive, modern feel. Here, we're using media queries to make the layout responsive, showing 2 cards per row on tablets and a single column layout on smaller mobile screens for a clean, readable design. And that wraps up day 29 of our HTML and CSS series. Today we built an interactive portfolio flip card section, a stylish way to showcase your projects. If you enjoyed this tutorial, don't forget to like, save, and follow for more creative coding projects like this. See you in day 30.